All right, we are back with another Growth Lab training session, and today we're joined by two marketing experts, Chiem and Peter Abraham. Welcome back to the show. Phat is having a little bit of technical issues, so we can't see you right now, but we can still hear Phat. But welcome back, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us, Hans. It's great to be here.
Glad to have you back. So I know we're planning to cover copywriting today, and it's a broad topic. What exactly, or what can we expect to learn from the training session today?
Great. Well, as you said, copywriting is super broad, and it touches on so many different things. We wanted to focus it in a little bit and make it as relevant as we could to Shopify sellers and anyone who's on this call. So we're going to talk a little bit broadly about storytelling, but then we're going to focus it down to how it would work on your website between the homepage, the value proposition, and product descriptions. And so we want to get granular, and we have a bunch of examples to share.
Oh, that sounds great. The value proposition is so important. And I, as a merchant, I've struggled so much with copywriting. It's probably what's taking up the most time. And so thank you guys so much for taking the time to come and help us master copywriting today. You know, as usual, I'm just going to hop into the control room and let you guys take it from here. And hopefully Phat's camera will come back. Fingers crossed. Let's everyone hold your thumbs and cross your fingers, and then I'll let you guys take it from here.
Great. Thanks, Hans.
All right.
So Phat and I together, we work independently, and together we have a business called Marlowe LA, where we help brands with all kinds of communications, copy, and email issues, help them solve problems. My experience is I spent years actually producing television commercials when I started, and then became really excited about what was going on in technology between social media and blogs that were happening in the mid-2000s. Started my own running event as a way to kind of transition to becoming a CMO, sold it to the LA Marathon, became the CMO there, rebuilt that, and since then have worked with a variety of different brands, Nike, Lululemon, Best Buy, Canyon Bicycles, and I work with all kinds of marketing issues from strategy on one side to copy, content creation, and making videos on the other end, so all the way through the marketing life cycle. Phat, are you there, and do you want to tell us about your background? Maybe not. Okay, so I'll get started. Phat can chime in when he wants. Let's talk about the. I'm going to show you a deck now, and we're going to get started with what we have. So let me just get Okay. 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 So we're here to talk about copywriting. So let's talk about, in particular, how it's going to apply to your website. We have a bunch of examples we want to show you. And Phat, just chime in if you're able to connect. Let's just talk about, here's what we're going to cover today. Okay, number one, why use the power of storytelling, generally speaking? Why is that important? Number two, your website homepage and why that is so important. Number three, how to storify your content and make it more story-based and interesting. Number four is your value proposition is so critical. Number five, the product description, also really important. And number six, we'll get to a product demo, some Shopify products, and then we're going to get to some website evaluation. So you guys can give us links to your websites, and live we'll go look at those and go through them with you and with everyone on board here. So we got about 30 minutes of going through our copywriting deck, 10 minutes on the product demo, and 15 minutes on the website evaluations. Okay, let's just talk about the power of storytelling and why to use it, okay? Super important, and this is important even if you feel like you know all this, and you might, it's still worth refreshing these important principles. Like, is that you, Phat?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Phat,
great.
do you want to dive in on any of this? And introduce yourself quickly before we get started?
Yeah, sure. Hi, guys. Sorry about my camera. Still trying to troubleshoot that. So my background is actually in journalism. I started as a print reporter back in the day at the Chicago Tribune, and that's where I really learned how to be a reporter and be a writer and to create narrative. And did that for several years, and then left and moved back to LA and became an online editor for Yahoo, where I learned a lot about how the web audience consumes content. And from there, I got an MBA and started my own agency around content creation and storytelling. So today I help brands tell their best stories on the web. So that's my background.
Great. Phat, do you want to take us through this page? Why use the power of storytelling?
Yeah. So right now, we you can drive the presentation,
Yeah.
Peter?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So really, storytelling. What storytelling helps you do, it gives your products more meaning. And when customers feel that your products are more significant, they have more meaning. They perceive that there's more value to those products, and therefore you can charge more, right? Also, storytelling and good copywriting allows customers to see your products in their lives, to enable them to sort of touch and feel, so to speak, how the product would feel or look in their living rooms or in their lives. And customers really want to see your brand, see themselves in your brand. So that's storytelling helps us do that. Storytelling also gives us, again, since we're in an online experience, we can't touch or feel. We need to do the work as if we're in an in-store environment, right? So your copy and your storytelling needs to do the work of giving an in-person experience. And then finally, storytelling and good copywriting helps create an emotional connection with the consumer. And as we all know, emotions are sort of the best way to sell your product, right? To get customers to be fanatical advocates for your product.
Great. So we want to talk about the homepage first. Let's just cut to the chase. I think almost everybody needs some help with their homepage. I mean, I know I have on the websites that I've built, which is many. I find myself going back again and again to tweak it and fine tune it and learn and fine tune it again. And I think all of us should see our websites as living, breathing documents, not as something that is frozen in time. And so we wanted to give a few examples of just things we like here. Phat, do you want to talk about this? We're going to get into much more background, but just like right up front, let's just show some examples of what we like about them.
Okay, so as you see here, this is the Cow Hugger website. And this is a past client of mine. They are a vegan accessories boutique. So they sell all vegan-friendly shoes and bags and apparel. And what we've done here is that, as you can see in that line, fashion that's kind to people and animals. We'll show you how to live consciously without sacrificing beauty, style, or quality. So what I really like, especially when you're a new brand, is to really speak directly to your audience and tell them and identify who's the audience that you're speaking to, right? So we're speaking to people who want to live a conscious lifestyle, but also don't want to sacrifice beauty or style or quality to do that, right? So we're speaking directly to our audience and telling them exactly why they should be, what this website or this store is for them, right? So you only have a few seconds to really engage customers, and they really need to know that you are the brand for them. And so I really like to include some sort of marketing copy that does that right up front.
Great. Okay, Phat, talk about this one, Lunya.
Yeah, so Lunya is a new direct-to-consumer sleepwear for women, and what I really like about this, so it's sleepwear that's not like plaid or like your husband's sort of sleepwear, right? It's really for, like as they say, for the modern women, and right away they take on this very risque personality, and you can see that in this tagline, good and bad, which has a double entendre, of course. And so I love that right away you can get a sense for the personality of the brand, and also in the photography. But you can see right away that this is a brand with an edge and a personality, and this is going to resonate with a particular type of women and a particular women that they are going after.
Great. I want to give a few examples here, Phat, of super clear communication. And I know from Phat, a lot of our clients that we've worked on together, that just getting to like step one, like let's just be really clear about what we're selling. And I know that is challenging, just that kind of basic communication. And so I just wanted to show some examples of very crisp, clear communication, like this online product, Beagle, a tool for creating better proposals. Like you see a laptop there open, like it feels digital, and like you kind of know right off the bat basically what it is in 3 seconds. And we're going to get to that when we talk about value proposition. It's just so important to get that across quickly. Also, here's a cryptocurrency trading bot called Krypton. And again, hello, I'm Krypton, a cryptocurrency trading bot based on machine learning. Okay, I got it. 3 seconds, I got it. The type feels very technical, very digital, so it kind of reflects their digital point of view. Again, very clear. Even the little symbol up in the top left is feels like 8-bit, graphics. It feels again very digital. And so I thought this was very clear and very good. Warby Parker, of course, that probably most of you know. Again, try 5 frames at home for free. Now, here's the thing with Warby Parker. Most of the people that come, and Phat made a good point about being contextually relevant to those who are coming to your website. So on that vegan accessory site, Cowhugger, it was really aimed at people who are already on board with that sort of vegan lifestyle and point of view. And same with Warby Parker is almost a household word now. So probably most people know what they are, but still right off the bat you go, Warby Parker eyeglasses. Okay, I see the 2 models of the glasses. Try 5 frames at home for free. Again, shop men, shop women, very clear, very simple. Like even if you've never heard of Warby Parker, you'd get that in 3 seconds. This was one I thought that was contextually interesting. This is Patagonia's website right now. Okay, now Patagonia contextually, most people who come to their website already know what Patagonia is. Patagonia does not necessarily have to say we're, the sustainable outdoor gear brand. Most people who would come here already know that. So they can go ahead a couple steps and say, hey, we're just going to show you a film, Justice for the Most Polluted Neighborhood in Los Angeles. Watch. You can shop, but again, they can kind of shortcut ahead and say, you all already know who we are. Here, we're going to show you a film that helps brand us. And so again, contextually relevant to their community. And then Netflix, I think, has always done a very good job on their homepage. Even though all of us basically know what Netflix is, they don't assume that. They go right back to unlimited movies, TV shows, and more. Watch anywhere, cancel anytime. Try 30 days free. Like that is there's the value proposition. They make it like cancel anytime. We've got your best interest. We're not going to stick you with anything. And here's the call to action: 30 days free. So again, very, very good. Very clear, very simple communication. Okay, we're going to talk about Storify in a minute. Hans, I want to see our poll. Phat, can you see the poll by any chance?
Let's see here. Yes. So, what does a brand's value proposition convey? So So right now we've got, I think most people got that right. Why your customers, the correct answer is why customers should buy your products over the competition. And that's correct. I think this is a good poll to take because sometimes you just need to go back to the basics. And when we talk about value propositions, some people might not understand what that actually is. You really want to have a good understanding of what benefits, what value you are providing to your customers, and you need to be able to articulate that in a really clear, one or two sentences right off the top of the bat when people come to your website, right? So right at that kind of beautiful hero image that most websites have, most Shopify stores have, you really need to say why, what am I selling, and why you should buy from me, essentially, right? So that's your value proposition. But interestingly, Peter, 25% don't know. So that's, so they didn't know the answer to this question. So again, it really pays to kind of go back to the basics and really have a basic understanding of marketing, and that it's going to really help you sell better, right? So that's why you guys are on this webinar right now. But that's a really interesting data point there.
Okay, so I want to come back to, in the next section, we're going to talk directly about value propositions. I have more thoughts on that. For now, Phat,
sure.
Can you just take us through the Storify process?
Sure. Next slide. And so what you see here is all of these kind of tactics: engage the senses, use a lot of personality, use descriptive language, capture mood. These tactics all come from, basically, we're borrowing from things that you see in narrative fiction, right, or narrative storytelling, right? When you read a great story, or when you read a novel or watch a film, you're engrossed by the characters, you're engrossed by the setting, by the sounds, and the the sense of place, right? And that's what really good storytelling, what really good writing does. And we're going to show you some examples of how people have done that on their stores.
Yeah, in fact, I would like to add, this is not about photography and video and graphic design, but right. Those things all are super important and also need to support a brand and be consistent with the copywriting. So the attitude that you see in the copy should align with the attitude that comes in across in a photo, yep, or a video, or any kind of graphic design element. And so, for instance, I always think of Nike. If you walk by, a Foot Locker and you see a Nike display in the window, the tagline, the art, the photography, the product, it all feels very consistent, and it all feels like Nike. And whether it's a basketball activation, a running activation, baseball, whatever it is, it all generally feels very on brand for Nike because they're very disciplined about keeping everything lined up that way.
That's a good point.
Okay, so we just wanted to just show a few quick examples, and we wanted to show you examples from non-digital media, just so you can see this kind of thing has been happening for decades, this kind of storytelling, and it doesn't necessarily only apply to your website. And for any of you who are doing offline, whether it's like collateral or outdoor, or it could be radio, or, any kind of other activation that is not necessarily digital, live events, it still needs to all line up. And so here, these are a series of billboards in Salt Lake City, Utah. They don't even put the name of the resort on. They don't even put the logo on it. You have to read the copy. And they used a series of 1-star reviews that talk about, how hard the mountain is and how it's for experts. And Snowbird is a really amazing ski and snowboard mountain, but it's very difficult. It's not for beginners. And the copy supports that. And I just thought this was a great outdoor campaign that could work in a magazine. It could work online. It could work lots of places. This was just really good combination of copy, photography, and a super good concept. And like I mentioned, this stuff's been going on for decades, and I wanted to show you guys, this is a late 60s, actually early 60s Volkswagen commercial, I think 1962, You know, and they had at the time one of the great creative directors in advertising history, Bill Bernbach, who started Doyle Dane Bernbach, now DDB. And, you know, he created this series of, and this layout that he created, like a big photograph with sort of like headline underneath it, is still used to this day. He's the guy who really invented that. And he's making fun of the car here, which at the time was radical. And so not taking himself, the car too seriously. And anyway, really great print ad from 1962. Fast forward to the mid 80s, the Air Force, the first Nike Air Force, like this is probably 85, 86, you know, pre-Air Jordan when it was just Nike. And again, they're like taking a cue from the Bill Bernbach work. This is, of course, Wieden & Kennedy in Portland. And, you know, really great headline, nice product shot of the shoe, little body copy below, and a logo. Like this is just completely classic, traditional, very good work. It's conceptual, it's smart. Again, it's just great to be aware of the, like, where this kind of thinking came from. Phat, you had shown me this example. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, so this is from Brightland. It is a new direct-to-consumer olive oil that's bottled in California. So all of their olives all of their olive oil comes from olive groves that are in California. And part of what they've done, a big part of the brand, is that they've sort of adopted this kind of California ethos, right? So Brightland refers to the sunshine in California, and the brand colors, they all kind of align toward this idea of like, what does California represent? And so in the About Us, next slide, Peter. What they've done is kind of taken this idea of what it means to live in a quote on golden state, which I love, is because that's again a kind of play on words, both to be in a state of bliss, in a golden state, and also to be the golden state of California, right? And what they've done is, in this kind of piece here, they've just kind of set a mood for what the brand represents, right? If you read this this copy, right? Savoring the simple moments, everyday elegance, cozy days and slow nights, locally sourced ingredients, warm crusty bread, stew in a good book, right? Beauty from the inside out, lazy evening strolls. This gets you in the mood for what the brand represents, and it also speaks to the kind of audience that they want to cultivate, which is a thoughtful audience that really savors food, that really savors the moment. And that's, again, you want to be speaking directly to your audience and getting them engaged with what your brand is all about.
Got it.
Next slide.
Okay, now let's talk about the value proposition. You know, we talked about that poll. I can't overstate how important this is for any business. And I just want to share, you know, when I start working with a new client, one of the first things I ask is, why should I buy your product? And you would be shocked how many brands can't answer that very quickly and very concisely, including, I will say, recently some multi-billion-dollar global brands I have spoken with. One of them stumbled, talked around in circles for 10 minutes and never really answered the question. And I thought to myself, wow, that's amazing. And it's not the fault of the marketing person I'm talking to. It really starts at the top. The leadership not being clear to the entire organization who we are, what we stand for, and how we're different from our competitors, and why you should, you know, buy our product. And I think that is, I just can't overstate that. And it's really worth kind of looking at the competitive landscape, whatever business you guys are in, whether it's jewelry or footwear or apparel or even services, understanding where your competitors are and understanding where you fit in that landscape. Phat, any other thoughts on that?
No, I think you had it right. If we go into the examples, we can talk more about the actual. So I think it's really important to convey what you, again, as I said earlier in the webinar, it's really important to convey what you do in a single line or two, right? And ideally, you have that at the very top of your website. This is something I work with my clients a lot. and this is especially critical if you're a new brand. So obviously if you're Nike, you don't need to explain what you do, right? We know what you do. But if you're a new brand like Year in a Day, which is the new brand of direct-to-consumer tableware, right away they kind of message what they do, right? We make it easy to set a table you love, right? Because a lot of people find it hard to decorate, right? And so what their value proposition is that their plates, all of their plates and dishware, they're all meant to mix and match. So whatever you buy from them, you can set it on the table and it will all kind of match together. And so it makes it really easy to set a table that you'll love, right? So they present their value proposition very clearly. Next slide. So you guys know Allbirds. Allbirds is obviously the shoes made out of wool from San Francisco. They're based here in California. And what I love about this line is that it tells you, number one, it tells you why they're different. So they're different because they're made out of wool. But then why is that important? Because it turns out that the most comfortable shoes are made out of wool, right? So when Allbirds launched, this was a new thing, right? There were not a lot of shoes that were made of wool mesh. And now, of course, they're being copied by everyone, including Amazon, right? But when they first came out, it was a huge deal. It was a very big differentiator. And I love this line because it tells you exactly why you should buy them very, very quickly, very, very easy to understand. Next.
Hey, is the next poll ready? Might be a good time pretty soon to come out with the next poll. Okay, let's talk about focusing on outcomes, not product features. Phat, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so this is really important. This is kind of a big principle in marketing, right? Is that you don't want to focus too much on the product itself, but what the product does for the consumer, right? So I always talk about to my clients that the best brands transcend product, meaning that we're talking about the big story, right? So focus on if your customers use your product, what does that look like? How does that change their life? And that's what you want to market against, not necessarily the product itself, right, or the product features, because we often get stuck on promoting the features and getting very narrowly focused on whether how long this battery life lasts, or whether it has a retina screen, or how fast this car will go. But it's like, how will you improve your customer's life? And that's really what you want to market against.
Okay, Phat, should we bring up the second poll result now?
Oh yeah. So what we were saying, what are your biggest challenges with copywriting, right? So copywriting is not easy. So 31% of you said, I'm not a great writer. 28% said, I'm not sure what to say about my brand. 10% said, it's hard to, you don't have the resources to hire a professional. And about a third of you said one or more of these, right? So that tells me that number one, you're finding it difficult to write well. I always think that if you can't be a good writer, you should invest in professional copywriter. And actually, they don't cost that much money. If you use something like Fiverr or Upwork, these are marketplaces for talent, for writers. You can easily get a writer for for $40, $50, $60 a project. You don't really need to spend that much money to get some professional help. And I always recommend that if you're not a great writer. And of course, you're here on this webinar because you want to learn more about how to be a better copywriter.
And Phat, I agree with you 100%. I think it's so important for any brand to collaborate with the best creators that they can, whether it's photographers, copywriters, designers, and they're almost always scrappy ways to not spend too much, but get somebody pretty good helping you with the project. So I second that. Really important. Phat, let's talk about these.
Sure. So this is Flex. It is it's a women's period cup, and what they've done here is really talk about why you would want to use them, and again, it's about the audience that is coming to this product is really thinking a lot about trying to be confident when you're having your period, but also not sacrificing comfort. And I think that line, "Don't sacrifice comfort because you have your period," speaks directly to the pain point of that customer. So I think about it as something called emotional bias. Every customer that interacts with your brand is coming to you to solve a problem. And with that problem comes an emotional bias, meaning there are every buying decision that we make, it comes from an emotional place. We're trying to solve a problem, and with those problems come emotions, right? And what Flex has been able to really do is speak to that sense of like, oh, I'm not super confident this right now because I have my period. It's uncomfortable. And so this line itself kind of speaks to that and addresses that emotional bias.
Great.
So this is a new brand of sparkling water called Recess. They're based out in New York. And again, it's a sparkling water that has CBD in it, which is meant to give you mental clarity. But they actually don't speak a lot about that ingredient. What they talk about is what they call helping you kind of reset and rebalance in a world where you might have a million tabs open on your browser. So who hasn't been there before, right? And so what they're doing is like they are marketing the outcome, not necessarily the ingredient itself, because sparkling water is a commodity, right? And so how are they different from the competitor? What are they doing that's different, right? And so what they're doing is they're solving a problem. They're doing more than just giving you sparkling water. They're helping you reset and rebalance in a crazy, chaotic world.
Great. Okay, let's talk about the product description. Again, super important. Once you've gotten people to your website, they've actually clicked through to a product page and they're considering buying one of your products or at least looking at it, it's really important to describe it in the right way. So let's talk about features versus benefits. Phat, take us through this.
Yeah, and so again, this is sort of the same concept around marketing outcomes, not necessarily marketing the features, right? We get very focused on features, but customers are focused on what is, I'm buying a product to solve a problem, and so they're focused on the problem. They're focused on the benefits that you are going to promise to deliver with your product. And so they're less focused on whether this is the right feature or that is the right feature, but more about what is the end result of using your product, right? And so when you talk about features, you also want to talk about benefits, right? Because that's really the most important thing. So Peter, let's go to the next slide here. So this is taken from Zappos. It's a description for a boot. But I want to show you how they've done that, especially in their bullets, is to kind of talk both about features and benefits. Next slide. So as you can see here, the features are in blue and underlined, and the benefits are in red. And so one feature is that this boot has is plush, deep pile, faux fur lining. So why does that matter? Well, because it helps in warm. It provides warm, cold weather insulation, right? This boot has dual side stretchy textile goring panels. So if you just told me that this boot has textile goring panels, I actually would not know what you mean by that. But if you said because it makes taking the boot off easy, it makes it easy to take off and on really easily. You're talking about the benefit there, right? It has again, it has seamless construction. Why is that important? Because for uninterrupted comfort, right? So you can see the kind of framework that they're using here, right? They start off with the features, but they always end with the benefit, right? Why does it matter that this has breathable max wick lining, right? Well, it's important because it helps you keep your feet dry, right? And protects it against the wet elements. So this is a really good framework to use when you're writing your bullets. in your specs on your product descriptions.
Okay, you want to go to the next.
Next slide.
Okay. Hey, Phat, can we take a quick break right now?
Sure.
Okay. Phat put a slide from Greats in here, which is a really awesome footwear brand that sells on Shopify. A friend of mine is the founder of this brand, Ryan Babenzine, and I asked him if he'd be okay for us to raffle off a pair of Greats. He said, fine, go for it. So the first one who can tell me in chat what year Greats was founded, you get a free pair of shoes.
Wow. So I imagine there's going to be some Googling going on, because I wouldn't know myself when Greats is founded, but pretty recently, right, Peter?
Pretty recently, but I'm not going to give it away right now. Hans, can you keep an eye on, see who responds first, because I'm in full screen mode here.
So what I like about I want to talk about this product description for the Royale, which is one of their kind of core product offerings. So if you guys don't know, Greats is the new direct-to-consumer sneaker brand that's really awesome. They make great shoes. But in this product description, you only need like a couple of lines to really make an impression. And I love the way that they talk about the features, but they also tell you why it's important, right? So in here they say that it's handmade in Italy by the world's most renowned craftsmen, only using Italian materials like full grain leather, right? But they go further than that, and they tell you why is it important to use full grain leather? Because it's the only type that truly gets better with age, right? So when you are describing your product, don't assume that people understand why the materials that you're using are important, right? And so what they've really done there is kind of message that this is a premium sneaker, and this is why, right? I also love this idea that in that last line, it says it's finished off with a wax cotton laces that will develop a unique patina of their own, which I love that whole idea of something that gets better with age, right? A patina is something that develops with age. And so they're messaging that this idea that the more you wear this sneaker, the better it will get, actually. So just really good copywriting here.
Great. And by the way, Phat, it looks like Carl Fagerlund has won the pair of shoes. Carl, congratulations. Nice job.
Wow. So does it get any pair of shoes in the Greats catalog?
I think so. I think pretty much any pair that they've got in stock.
Wow.
I'll connect him with Ryan, the founder, after. So
okay, fantastic.
Nice work, Carl. Okay, Phat, talk about this one.
So this comes from Method Soap. This is a description for their mold cider soap. So as you guys know, Method Soap is your typical, or is your not typical, but one of the new soap brands that became really big, over the last recent couple of years. What they've done here is, it's really hard to read the copy here. Peter, can you read that at all?
Yeah. It says dish pump, fall for this. There are lots of reasons to love autumn. Brightly colored leaves, crisp, cool weather, spiced lattes, cozy sweaters. But we love this season most because it gives us an excuse to showcase a few of our favorite fragrances, like pomegranate, mulled cider, and redwood forest. We couldn't pick just one, and neither should you.
And then that last line, where it says a warm blend of
apple cider, clove, and cinnamon that would make even Frosty melt.
Right. So what I love about this description is it shows off the personality of the brand. So, you can make even the most boring category like soap, you can make even a very pedestrian category seem accessible and friendly and playful, right? And they purposely use humor here, a very kind of light touch humor, to get you to not only kind of imagine what their mold cider flavor or soap would feel like, and what it would feel like to experience, right? To get you in that mood of like fall, right? Like fall for this, right? To get you in the mood of autumn, cozy sweaters and spiced lattes and cool weather, crisp cool weather. Again, it's about engaging the senses and using borrowing these kind of tactics from fiction writing to get you in the mood, to put you in the setting so that you can feel what that's like. But also another thing they're doing is using personality, using a sense of friendliness and playfulness to get you to have a really warm feeling about the brand itself. And so I think this is a really great example for people to follow.
And Phat, I love this brand. And in the mid 2000s, when I was going to these marketing conferences, Eric, one of the founders of Method, would show up and talk about his brand. And it was so radical at the time, just the design of their bottle, their product. And they're like, again, like from their logo, which is very simple and very good, to their design, to there's a sustainability point of view, to their products, like, and then the copy, like everything kind of works together as a cohesive whole element. So things aren't living on their own islands. It all works together. Yeah. Hey, Phat, before we go to the next page, Timothy, one of our participants, is asking, should we tell stories in every single page of our website or just the homepage? Do you want to speak to that?
Well, I think of story doesn't necessarily something literal, right? It's not going to always be this kind of once upon a time thing or something that has a beginning, middle, and end. For me, storytelling is really it's a marketing approach that says I'm going to paint a vision for what the world is going to look like when you use our product. So I don't think you necessarily need to have every single line and every single every part of your website be a storytelling approach. But overall, you want to paint this kind of vision for what I call the promised land. What does the promised land look like for your consumer when they use your product? How does it change their life? But at some point, you do want to talk about the product itself. Like you want to talk about, like, if you're an apparel company or if you're a shoe company, like how are your products actually made? Why are they high quality? So at some point, you do want to speak very specifically and very concretely about your products. And so I think there's a place for that, and there's also a place for storytelling.
Yeah, and Phat, I would add, and Tim, that's a great question. And I think a lot of people are not exactly clear what storytelling means when we talk about it. And we think about storytelling very broadly. Like you look at this Method bottle, that's a form of storytelling in their product design. The copy, the font, like it's all part of the storytelling. And I think that is why I encourage every brand to come up with a mission and really understand who you are and what you stand for. So for instance, you look at Nike, their mission is inspiring athletes with technology. On every page of their website, at some level, that mission is reflected in that story. Now, the way they tell it for basketball products is very different from how they would tell it for track and field products for high school students, but it all levels up to that. And then even within a website, the way you tell a story on a homepage, which might be a lifestyle photo and one key line and a call to action, is of course different than the way you tell the story like here on a product page. But again, it all needs to feel like your brand and kind of feel aligned. And then let's say you have an About Us page, which is about the founders. Again, you should be kind of, that story should feel evident in the different places, even though you tell it in very different ways. Phat, we've got the results of poll number 3 are live.
Okay, let's see here. It says the best product descriptions are 50% said short and sweet, 0% said it needs to include a lot of details and specs, 47% it depends on the brand, and 2%, which is the trick question there, or trick answer, I think, is the at least 100 words according to Google. So this is, to me, this is kind of a tricky question. I personally think that it really depends on the brand, and some brands and some products require a lot of information, right? Especially a high ticket item or a more complicated item, you're going to need to spend more time to convince the consumer to buy your product, convince them why it's important and what it does for you, right? So but there are times other brands where, especially if, for example, if you're selling a commodity item like apparel, you don't need to go ad nauseum about a sweater, for example, right? What I do think the main takeaway is that every product needs a product description. I see a lot of Shopify websites where literally there's like no description, which I think is a missed opportunity, both from an SEO perspective, but also from a brand engagement, customer engagement perspective. You really need to say something, just a few lines, but you need to say something about your product to really get customers to buy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Phat, I think it has to be contextually relevant to who your audience is. So for instance, Patagonia on their product pages, they might get pretty into like climbing jargon, which, some brands you'd advise like, hey, stay away from getting too jargony. But for Patagonia, that's part of their story. Their heritage is very authentically about climbing. So they can throw in climbing jargon words, and that actually supports the brand and helps tell the story. So there are a lot of different ways to do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Just a couple other ones. This is a Shopify seller. They sell chocolate, and I just liked the visual nature of this product page. It shows you like basically all the ingredients that go into the chocolate. So this is a very like show, not tell way of explaining a product, which I just thought was interesting. Hadn't seen it before. Here's a Patagonia page, and this is sort of like adjacent to their product page is like the impact of their products. And I thought this is important. Like it lays out their statement, like they're being honest. First of all, everything we make has an impact on the planet. Like they're not trying to like sugarcoat it and say our products have no impact. They do. But then they say, listen, we have a fair trade component. We're using recycled polyester in this product. And we have our own supply chain evaluation system called BlueSign. So we monitor how all this stuff is made in order to minimize the impact. So they've gone very deep in understanding the impact of their products. And so it's very, again, authentic to a brand that completely stands for sustainability. And I thought this is this is a lot of information. You can drill down much deeper into all of these different categories, but it's super authentic. And so I think it's great. Cool. Okay. And that's, I think that's the main section. Before we get into any kind of product demo, I thought maybe we'd go to, Phat, do we want to do some Q&A now?
Oh yeah, or we can go into the tools. Which would you like to do first?
And there are some other questions here.
Okay, let's go to the questions.
Sabrine is asking, can you speak more on SEO and product descriptions and what it entails? Sabrine Harris. Phat, you got a point of view on that?
I do. Yeah. So I think that you want to have. Well, okay. First of all, it's super important to know what your keywords are for each of your products, right? And your brand overall, right? And so you want to be able to get some of that into your product descriptions. But these days, Google is super smart about what we used to call keyword stuffing, right? Where you start to repeat over and over keywords so that it shows up in the rankings, right? Google is really good about understanding contextual clues nowadays, right? So it doesn't need to know that a product description is going to say, wool blanket over and over again, right? So don't fall for that trick that people used to do, which is do a lot of keyword stuffing. I like to say that, don't let the SEO lead. It should inform your product description and your copywriting, but it shouldn't lead it, right? It shouldn't be the only thing you're writing for. Ultimately, you want to write plain English that engages the customers, that tells a little bit of a story, but ideally also includes some of the keywords that you're getting across and some of the benefits of your product, without making it seem like the only reason you're writing this piece of copy is because you want to rank in Google, which I think a lot of people see through, and also Google is smart enough to know anyway.
Great. Thanks, Phat. Hey, Ryan Walden is asking, how does copywriting change from B2C to B2B? Would you still use the same practices from a brand standpoint? Ryan, that is a great question. I'm right in the middle of building a website for a B2B brand right now. And so we're doing a lot of work on this. I was working on copy yesterday. And I think, the short answer is, yeah, you use a lot of the same practices. You're just making it contextually relevant to who that audience is. So this business that I'm working on is a software development consultancy. So they're speaking to CTOs, they're speaking to entrepreneurs, and they're speaking to larger businesses that want to develop a software practice within their business. So you need to speak in the language of those people. You need to clearly represent your services in the same way a Shopify seller would need to represent, Allbirds, Greats, whatever, jewelry, clothing, whatever it is. You need to represent a B2C service to their buyers very clearly. Any kind of product description or a service description also has to be represented clearly. So, and there are some brands that are doing a great job with this in the B2B space. I would recommend Intercom. They do chat software, amazing content and very good storytelling. And some of the big accounting and consulting firms like EY and Deloitte are doing a really amazing job with content and creating all kinds of video, and really a surprisingly good job with storytelling.
Yeah, take a look at Airtable. It's a SaaS company also doing some really great content. Just one quick word on this difference. I think that the line between B2B and B2C marketing is getting blurry. So I think a lot of B2B marketing is now it's starting to feel emotional. It's using a lot more storytelling. So I think the B2B space is borrowing the tactics that you see in B2C a lot. So I think there's definitely room for emotional storytelling in B2B marketing nowadays.
Yeah, you're still marketing to human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
All the same triggers still apply. Hey, Phat, should we just answer a few more questions now, or?
Sure. Let's answer one more question. Then I want to show quickly some of the tools that we want to use.
Okay. Here's one from, let's see here, from Yigaldi. Does copy inform the visuals on the homepage or vice versa?
Does copy inform the visuals or vice versa? Well, I think they all have to align, and I think the best brands have a real understanding of how that sort of all goes together. It's both the copy, the imagery, the videos, and the kind of brand identity. If you take a look at Recess, you'll see that kind of sparkling water. The name Recess itself is about taking a break. The pastel colors, the minimalism of the font, they all go really hand in hand with what they're trying to message, which is that we're helping you get more clarity, right?
Yeah, good one. And last quick thing, Timothy asked about, do you recommend the use of videos? I absolutely do. I spent decades producing them. I still produce them. Not every time for every single use case, but video is just steadily growing in usage. You just see how TikTok has taken off. And so video, I believe, is still the most emotional storytelling platform. You see how the Black Lives Matter right now movement has really been launched by just that one video of George Floyd. So it's incredibly, incredibly powerful when used in the right way. So I love video. Okay, Phat, I'll give it over to you.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen right now. Whoops, let me share.
Hey, and do we have a Phat, by the way, while we're doing this, do you want to address the third poll result? Or we already did that? We got through the product.
I think we did. I think we got through them, yeah.
Okay.
So Peter, can you see my Shopify platform right now?
No, I'm not sure.
You're not seeing it on the screen? Oh, here it is. Let me. Okay. Is it? is not sharing right now. Let's see here. It should share my entire screen. Is it not doing that?
Not yet.
It says it's on. Let me see here. Okay, let's see here. Is it sharing now?
There we go. Now
okay. Okay, cool. So for those of you who know Shopify, of course, you know that we're in the products part of the platform where you add products, right? And what I've done here is already kind of preloaded a product description just to get us started. And of course, you have the title here. So this is a title for women's watch, it's a brand called Ristology. I don't know if some of you guys might know what that is. They have a watch called Olivia, which is kind of a women's watch. And what I've done here is in the title, really make sure that you have some of those keywords that people are going to be looking for, right? So we really should have women's watch. And also this happens to be rose gold, and it has a mesh wristband, right? So we're getting all of that in the title. So that's important for SEO reasons. And then what I've done included here is in this first paragraph, it's really just kind of a really playful bit of language about the product itself, right? So if you can't read this, it says, FYI, we found your day tonight, go to. Consider Olivia your new BFF, charming, stylish, and totally reliable. The must-have women's boyfriend watch features a large white face with subtle scallops in rose gold and a slim leather strap in soft gray. She looks just as good getting morning coffee as she does enjoying dinner and a movie. Versatility for the win. What I really love about this description is it's personal, has a sense of voice, but it tells you exactly what the features are and the benefits of those features, right? It gives you all that in 3 or 4 sentences, right? And then it's really important then to have really good bullets, right? So these are the bullets or the specs, right? Right, and so it has a genuine quick change band for an adjustable fit. Again, it's that features and then benefits, right? So the feature is a quick change band, and the benefit is that it gives you an adjustable fit. Handcrafted Japanese watch movement for perfect precision. A protective case to keep your watch safe when it's her night off, right? So again, features, benefits, right? And then what I've also done here is, I think this is something that a lot of brands don't do in their product descriptions, is to include a very easy link to both your warranty, your shipping, and your return policy, right? So these are what I call kind of resistance busters, right? Every time a customer interacts with you, they have reasons why they wouldn't buy from you, right? And so you want to overcome those reasons. For one, it may be, for example, shipping might be a reason they might not use you, right? So you're offering free shipping. Maybe it's returns. Maybe it's a hassle to do return. Well, you're saying there's we have an easy return policy, right? And then we also have a 1-year warranty. So you're really addressing why people might not buy from you up front, and you're doing that with every single product description, right? And so what you would do is, for example, you would link this free shipping to your free shipping page, right? And it would just link to a shipping page, right? Or in here, it would link to your return policy, right? So it's important that you get this kind of detail into every single product description. And then, of course, then we have the product images. And what you'll see in the selection of product images is that we have both product images and then lifestyle images, right? The lifestyle images are these ones where you're seeing the woman actually wear the watch and how it looks like in real life. And so what you're doing there is you're allowing customers to imagine what it would look like what it would look like if they wore it, right, in their lifestyle. And so often you'll see brands have product description or product images, but they don't have those lifestyle images. And I think it's really important to have both of them to be able to convince your customers about why they might want to buy your product. And then everything, and the rest of this is, as you know, is self-explanatory about how much quantity you have and whether you are charged tax on this and how much it weighs for your shipping. And then, of course, up here you want to put the type of product it is, and also the collections where it belongs. And it's really important to include really good tags on your product description, right? You don't want to have too many where you're overwhelming the user. But again, tags can be searchable, so you want to have the relevant tags in there, right? So that's our product page. I want to real quickly go into our blog posts here. So whenever you're writing a blog post, you go down here to your online store, and you pick a blog post. And I've already kind of added a title here and everything. One thing to know. So let me just kind of grab a copy here. Hold on, Peter. Hold on. Can you see what I'm doing here or no?
A little bit. We can see the screen.
Okay. Let me go back to here and add this in.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So this is, and imagine this had photos in it with, right? So it's really, I think not enough brands use content marketing for their website, right? And what we mean by content marketing is producing content that helps your customers either understand the product or understand the space better in which the kind of category that you're in, right? So this is taken from, again, Wristology, and what they're really doing is helping you understand how to wear watches. And so their content is all about really useful content around different styles of watches, which watch is right for which occasion, right? And so the blog platform within Shopify is going to allow you to do really good content marketing. What I would recommend is that you make a list of the keywords that you think your customers are going to use to find your product, and then enter those keywords into Google, and then see what kind of content is already showing up in Google, to understand what kind of content is already surfacing in that space. And a really good tool that I recommend for everyone is a free SEO tool called Uber Suggest. And that is a great, I mean, it's amazing that it's actually free. But what it does is it allows you to see, for every keyword, it allows you to see what content is already performing really well and what is already engaging people. So you want to put your keywords into Uber Suggest and look at the content that's already doing well, and either figure out, can you do a better piece of content, or is there different types of content along the same lines that you can produce for your consumer. I think that's it for my kind of tool discussion. Peter, you wanna?
That was great.
Yep.
Can you just answer a couple quick questions? Like,
absolutely.
Enzi Shamiri has asked, does the order matter if you say the product like mesh gold watch, rest of title? Not sure.
No, not really. No, and as long as it's in the title itself, it doesn't matter the order. Although I would get, I think it's nominal, but probably, just to be safe, I would get the most important features of that product up front. So if it's women's watch, which is probably the most important keyword in this case, I would get that up front and then do the rose mesh afterwards. But I don't think overall, I think Google understands what you're talking about. I don't think it makes that big of a difference, the order of the keyword there.
Okay, and then CC Chin has asked, a link to the shipping and return policy or just a statement?
I would have the if your return policy is more complicated, I would have a link to the actual page. If it's super easy, for example, if your shipping is free shipping on everything or free shipping on all orders over $50, if it's really simple, then just put the message. But sometimes some brands have an extensive return policy, in which case it makes more sense to just link out to the actual page.
And then Chris McCarthy has asked, doesn't the link send them away from buying and adding to cart? Those links are on checkout page.
And I think you can make those links, what do you call it? You can make them link out to a new page, so that it doesn't take them away from the product, but it allows them to see that page and also the product page itself. But that's a good question. I'll look into how we can enable that kind of link out, creates a new page rather than sends them into a new page.
And then Jessica Taylor has asked, what do you suggest with vehicle-specific products? Example, 2016 to 2020 Toyota Tacoma hidden bumper light bar, brackets combo. That's a mouthful.
I missed that part, Peter.
What do you suggest with vehicle-specific products? Example, 2016 to 2020 Toyota Tacoma hidden bumper light bar, brackets combo. It's a lot of stuff.
So I think the question is if the title is complicated, or it doesn't come across as plain English, it seems a little bit clunky, right? And therefore, I think you're going to take away from the with copywriting for SEO, you have to balance between getting the keyword in there and making it an engaging, interesting sounding product. And I always, again, it's like SEO should inform your writing, but I don't think it should lead the writing. And so in that case, I would go for a more plain English description.
Great.
And then get the keywords into your product descriptions, not the headline.
Okay. So should we transition to looking at some websites while we still have some time?
Sure.
We've got a bunch of them here. We got several of them here. So should we how do you want to do these?
I'm not seeing those in the chat.
If you scroll down in the chat, Greg, for the love of tea, CC Chen, Vision Quest shoes.
Peter, I'll leave it up to you to pick them, because I'm not seeing them in my chat right now.
Okay, so we'll do Vision Quest shoes, and why don't I?
Could you drop that into?
It's not allowing me to get to that website. Okay, so let's try one more. Does anybody else have?
I see now.
Blunt Skincare is another. Okay, stand by. Okay, here I've got For the Love of Tea up. Let me just do a share screen. Stand by. My entire screen. Okay, are you seeing Garuda now?
I am.
Okay. So store detail. Okay, so Phat, give me your thoughts on this homepage.
Okay, let me just pull it up right now on my own screen. Garuda.co. Okay, For the Love of Tea, find men's teas off the well-worn path. Okay. So just kind of a design, just before I get to the copy, but the design itself, I am not a big fan of these sliders in the heroes position. I think it's fine to use a slider later in the homepage, but research shows us that most people don't actually flip through, like something like 80-90% of people don't actually bother to flip through the slides. And so what you're doing is you're kind of wasting that really high value real estate. And what I would do is instead use one really beautiful image and one static beautiful image instead of like 5 slides. So number one. Number two, I actually, it's hard for me to kind of right away understand what it means. Like what off the well-worn path is kind of, to me, a little bit of a oblique reference. I'm not quite sure what it means. And I think it means like different types of teas. Like these are teas for people who are kind of mavericks or you know, kind of not who want different types of teas, not your kind of everyday teas that you'll see everywhere. Is that what you get, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, I have several thoughts right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, in terms of clarity of storytelling and context, I would say a lot of the people that come to this website don't know what Gruta is. I mean, they might know what J. Crew is, they know what the Gap is, they probably know what Target is. They might not know what Gruta is if they're looking for a t-shirt. So you've got to be more clear with them. So right up top, you have Gruta. That doesn't tell me what it is. It doesn't say Gruta t-shirts. Then you have full catalog, about us, FAQs. And I'm looking in terms of the information architecture. Usually you go left to right and top to bottom. So now I'm 2 levels down. I still have no idea what you do. 3rd level down, I'm looking at that image. That does not look like a t-shirt to me. It doesn't tell me anything. It's an image of 2 pigeons. I don't know what that is. Number 3, it says for the love of tea. Okay, that's sort of an offhand reference to a t-shirt, but still doesn't really explain your product. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, on the 5th level down of information, I get fine men's teas off the well-worn path. Again, agree with Phat. I don't know what well-worn path means. So in terms of bringing in a customer who doesn't know who you are, you gotta like be more clear about your communication. You should like not have for the love of tea. Love of tea is like an insider, clever tagline. Like Patagonia could use that, or J. Crew. You haven't earned that yet. You got to explain to people what your product is. I think you should have pictures maybe of models in shirts, or shirts against a clean white background, or you got to show the product here.
I think to me, the biggest missed opportunity, I think it's a nice looking page. Actually, it's clean. The design is clean. It's not overwhelming the user. But ultimately, I think the biggest missed opportunity is really speaking directly to your consumer and identifying who that consumer is. So we know it's a men's audience, but what type of man and what type of t-shirt is he looking for, right? That's not really conveyed at all in this copy, and that's what I would, you know, if I come here and go, oh, it's t-shirts for men who want a lot of humor, or you know, want to be kind of super humorous and super kind of hip and kind of almost sarcastic and have a kind of an edge to him. And I would want to both see that in the visuals, and I want to kind of have some sort of copy that conveys that. And so I think to me that's the biggest missed opportunity is speaking directly to that consumer and saying we're the right t-shirt brand for you, and here's why.
Okay, Phat, let's go to the next brand now.
Okay, I just pulled up Just Human. Do you want to?
Sure, justhuman.co.
Yeah, justhuman.co. Okay, so there's a lot to love here about this website. The branding is really lovely. I really love the branding. It's modern. It goes really well with the look of the sunglasses. And then I really like this line here, which is kind of what I did with the Cow Hugger website, which is that you want a line, again, and maybe a missed opportunity with the Gruta line, is that you want something that speaks directly to your audience and says, this is what we're about, this is what we're doing, right? And so here we have something that says we're redefining the luxury sunglasses category by merging designer style with sport performance lenses. handmade in Japan from sustainable materials. 2 sentences conveys a lot of the value proposition. That's why I really like, because right away I'm getting a sense of like why you're different and why I should buy from you. Peter, you have any thoughts here?
Yeah. One thing I meant to say on the last one, but I forgot, is there was no visible shop button. It just said full catalog, but it didn't say shop. There should be a clear call to action on the last site we looked at. This one, I like the look. I think it's interesting. I think the styling is interesting. I will say on the first image that I saw, I wasn't. I guess I thought it was sunglasses, but I wasn't sure. I thought it could be skincare. Like, it doesn't say eyewear anywhere. By the time you get to like 3 images, 3 sliders in, you're like, okay, it must be sunglasses. But right off the bat, I didn't get it clearly, because the name, like Modern Cat 01, could be, I don't know. It's not. I guess that's sort of a cat eye look. But anyway, that'd be the only thing. Otherwise, I think this is pretty nice.
The other thing, thanks, Peter. The other part of the copy that I really like is down below, where it says designer sunglasses focus almost entirely on style, while the most important part of any sunglass should be the lens. What I really like about this is that I think it's important as a brand to understand what your point of view is. And often a point of view comes across as a should statement, right? Like, how should this product be made, or how should this product be, how should this product fit into your consumer's life, or how should it change their how should it improve their lives? And so, Just Human is saying it's, we're all about focusing on the lens, because that's the most important thing of any glasses. And so right away, you understand their point of view on sunglasses. You understand why. If you agree with that point of view, then this is the brand for you, right? So really important that they are conveying that.
Great. Should we go to another website quickly,
Sure.
Phat?
Sure.
I'm going to go to hightidestore.com.
High Tide Store dot.
Okay. High Tide Store DTL.shop. Okay. You got it? Okay. Give me your thoughts, Phat.
Give me a few seconds. Okay. So this is something that I see happen a lot. I love the design. I think it's really beautiful. I love the clarity of the navigation, the minimalism that I'm seeing here. But what I don't see, I think, is and this happens a lot with Shopify stores, is that it's a bunch of products on a page with price tags on them, right? And that's essentially everything. There's no message. There's like no copy actually at all in terms of marketing to the consumer. There's no sense of like, what is it that I'm really selling, right? Again, the best brands transcend product. You're selling more than just the products you're showing on this page. You're selling some sort of outcome. You're selling some sort of lifestyle. You're selling a story, right? And so what I don't see at all is a sense of who the customer is. What's the bigger story here? What's the big outcome that I'm gonna get if I use your products, right? So that to me is the biggest missed opportunity.
Yeah, Phat, I would agree with you. I mean, what are you selling and why should I buy it? Again, here's a classic example when we talked about the value proposition. It's not here, and there's not even a clear explanation of what it is you're selling. It feels kind of like related to Muji to me, which I like. I'm a fan of this kind of stuff. The other thing is I don't see a shop button above the fold. Like, I don't know what nahe means. but schedule a curbside pick. Anyway, there should be a shop button above the fold. I'm not seeing that. So
yeah, maybe it's something like, you know, beautiful writing instruments for the minimalists, right? I'm just making that up. I'm just that
Right.
Kim, you know, if you use it, I'll invoice you. But you know, it's just like one or two sentences, one or two lines that really captures who your audience is and why they would want to buy from the store.
Okay, Phat, I want to move on to our last one here. Jessica has a website. And we're going to go to that now. CaliRaisedLED.com.
Cali raised LED. Okay.
Okay, and this might have been, I think this was the question about the automotive products. Okay. Okay, so let me jump into this one.
Okay.
Jessica, again, you're not clear about what your product is right up top. You have shop by vehicle. The first thing I see after your name as I'm going left to right, top to bottom, is shop by vehicle. And I do see some pictures of vague photos of cars and trucks underneath that type, so I can assume maybe you're automotive related, but you don't explain what are you selling and why should I buy it. I just see giveaway, and I don't like leading with giveaway because it says your products must be cheap and you're giving them away. So I would not recommend using that. You need to tell your story, and you need one simple line that says, automotive accessories for the California off-roader, or whatever it is, something where you go, okay, I got it. Again, value proposition in 3 seconds. And then
the interesting thing is, Peter, the branding leads me to think that it's actually an apparel company. It looks like an apparel company. It's too warm for an automotive brand, and so you're right. And then I come here, and then I feel like the branding is a disconnect from the actual product, and so I need something to tell me what it is that I'm here for, right?
Right. And then we go down to the next level here. It says premium quality, design is key, price matters. It still doesn't tell me what your products are. I'm like 5 minutes into your site now. I still don't know what you sell. These three things are inconsistent and they're not lined up. Those need to be lined up, and like the middle thing should be in a circle, but I don't even know what that is. There's no context. And then again, now I'm like 10 minutes into your site. Handcrafted products built to last. What kind of products? For what? Then now the journey awaits. Still not clear what your product is. Start your adventure. Shop now. Now it says these look like used cars to me. Is it products for a 2020 Chevy Colorado Canyon, or is it like used pickups you're selling? So again, this is one you just need to go back, I would say, and just focus on clear communication. And this is a great example of, like, take your kind of staging site, like your draft version, or just PDFs of a homepage, and show it around to a bunch of friends and go, does this make sense to you if you were to look at this homepage? And I used to do some work with Apple computers, and I had a friend there in iTunes, and I said, when you guys got to do a new page in iTunes, like, how do you design it and build it? He goes, we just get one designer with Photoshop, and he just starts making designs, and he brings them down here, and we look at them, we go, no, that doesn't work. No, that one maybe, no. Finally, we get to one that works, and then he goes and gets the engineers involved and actually builds it. But it's all about, like, you can just design these with a designer in, whatever, InDesign, Photoshop, whatever you're using. And just, I would kind of like start from scratch on this homepage, honestly.
Well, I think what I would love to see is just a really beautiful hero image of a car, a vehicle, with some really great LED lights, right? So you're really focusing on those lights, which is what you're selling here, and then some sort of line that says that, right? So something like, I don't know, handcrafted LED accessories or something like that, where it conveys exactly what you're selling.
Okay, Phat, I think we're just about out of time. So,
Okay. I think we are at time. I think this was only about an hour, but
yeah,
I think we gave an extra half hour, but that's
yeah.
okay. We ran over that. I love that. Did we answer all the questions? Let's see here. If you guys want to, get in touch with us, we're at Marlowe, LA. Marlowe, like the poet, Christopher Marlowe. MarloweLA.com is our website. We'd love to get in touch with you. We'd love to work with some of you. Hope this was useful for everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We're going to solve that in our future webinars. I want everyone to stay safe out there, and remember to wash your hands and wear your mask.
Great. And
Are there any last thoughts?
That's it. MarloweLA.com, MarloweLA.com. You can find us there. And then Carl, who won the shoes, will reach out to you. I think we have your email. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I want a pair of those shoes now.
I know. They're good. I've got them.
Okay. I do too, actually. I have a pair at home. All right, guys. Take care. Have a great day. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye. Okay.